In every corner of the globe, from the deserts of the Middle East to the dense jungles of South America, soldiers and Marines are no strangers to danger. For many, the battlefield is a place where life and death hang in the balance, where every shadow could conceal a threat. But what happens when the enemy is not just flesh and bone? What happens when the terror they face is something far beyond human comprehension? Tonight, we're diving deep into the stories of servicemen and women who have come face to face with the unknown, encounters that defy all logic, science, and reason. These are the accounts of soldiers and Marines who found themselves in the presence of shape-shifting entities, creatures that seemed to exist outside the boundaries of our reality. Are these encounters just the product of fear and stress, or is there something more to these unexplainable events? Buckle up, because the stories you're about to hear will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the world. In 2009, a group of Marines was deployed to a remote part of Afghanistan. The desert stretched endlessly in all directions, a barren wasteland under a sky filled with stars. The night was quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes even the most seasoned soldiers uneasy. The group moved slowly, their eyes scanning the horizon, every sense heightened as they advanced on their patrol. Private Ramirez, a young Marine fresh out of boot camp, walked at the back of the group. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they approached a cluster of rocks, Ramirez noticed something strange. A figure crouching behind one of the boulders. At first, it looked like a man, perhaps a local or an enemy combatant. But as Ramirez focused on the figure, he realized something was off. "What is that?" Ramirez whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of his boots crunching in the sand. His fellow Marines turned their heads, following his gaze. The figure stood up slowly, but its movements were not natural. Its limbs were too long, its body too thin. The creature seemed to stretch and bend in ways that no human body could. And then, as they watched in horror, its shape began to change. The Marines opened fire, their training kicking in as they instinctively responded to the threat. The sound of gunfire echoed through the desert, but the figure did not fall. Instead, it continued to morph, its form shifting from one grotesque shape to another. One moment, it looked like a man. The next, it was a hulking, animal-like creature. The bullets seemed to pass right through it, as if it wasn't entirely solid. The Marines stood frozen, their weapons still aimed at the figure, but no amount of firepower seemed to affect it. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the creature vanished into the night, leaving no trace behind. The Marines were left standing in the silence of the desert, their hearts pounding, their minds racing. What they had seen that night would stay with them forever, an encounter with something beyond human understanding. Our next story takes us to the dense, unforgiving jungles of South America. In 2013, a squad of soldiers was sent on a covert mission deep in enemy territory. Their objective, locate and dismantle a hidden enemy outpost. The jungle was thick, the air heavy with humidity, and every step forward felt like a battle against the elements. The squad moved quietly, their senses on high alert. The jungle was alive with sounds. The rustling of leaves, the distant calls of animals, the ever-present hum of insects. But amidst the natural sounds of the forest, something else lurked. The first sign that something was wrong came when one of the soldiers spotted movement in the trees ahead. It was just a shadow at first, a blur of motion that disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. "Did you see that?" one of the soldiers asked, his voice tense. The others nodded, their eyes scanning the treetops. The shadow appeared again, this time closer. It moved between the branches with a fluid grace, too quick and too silent to be human. The soldiers raised their weapons, but they couldn't get a clear shot. Whatever it was fast, and it was watching them. And then, without warning, the shadow dropped from the trees. The soldiers opened fire, their rifles flashing in the dim light of the jungle. But the creature was too quick. It moved like a predator, its body shifting and twisting as it dodged the bullets. As the soldiers watched in horror, The creature's form began to change. One moment, it looked like a man. The next, it was a beast, a monstrous hybrid of human and animal, its limbs long and sinewy, its face distorted into a grotesque snarl. The soldiers continued to fire, but the creature seemed unaffected. Its form shifted again and again, as if it was made of something otherworldly, something that could not be harmed by conventional means. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the creature retreated into the jungle, disappearing into the shadows. The soldiers were left standing in the clearing, their weapons still raised, their hearts racing. That day, the jungle had revealed its darkest secret. It was a place where the laws of nature no longer applied, where creatures beyond human understanding roamed freely. And for those soldiers, the encounter would forever haunt their nightmares. Not all encounters with shapeshifters happen in the heat of battle. Some happen in places long forgotten, where the echoes of the past still linger. In 2016, a group of security personnel was assigned to guard an old military base that had been decommissioned for years. The base was isolated, its buildings abandoned and crumbling, but the soldiers on duty soon realized they were not alone. The first signs came late at night, when the guards began reporting strange noises, footsteps echoing through empty hallways, doors creaking open on their own, and whispers carried on the wind. At first, they brushed it off as their imaginations playing tricks on them, but then came the sightings. It started with a figure seen at the far end of a hallway on the security cameras. At first glance, it looked like a man, but there was something wrong. The figure flickered in and out of view, its form shifting and distorting as it moved closer. "Do you see that?" one of the guards asked over the radio. His voice was shaky, filled with unease. The other guards watched the footage, their eyes wide as the figure continued to advance. Its limbs elongated, its body twisting and contorting in unnatural ways. One moment, it looked like a man. The next, it was something else entirely. The guards rushed to the location where the figure had been seen, their weapons drawn. But when they arrived, the hallway was empty. There was no sign of the figure, no trace of anything out of the ordinary. But the sighting didn't stop. Night after night, the guards reported seeing the figure, always at the edge of their vision, always shifting and changing form. No matter how many times they tried to confront it, the figure would disappear before they could reach it. It became clear that whatever was haunting the base was not of this world. It was something that could change its form at will, something that existed in the space between reality and the unknown. The guards were eventually pulled from the base, and the outpost was abandoned once again. But the stories of the shape-shifting entity that roamed the halls would live on, a chilling reminder of the things that lurk in the shadows. Soldiers and Marines are trained to face the most dangerous threats imaginable. Enemies, explosions, the chaos of war. But nothing could prepare them for the encounters they had with these shape-shifting entities. These creatures, whatever they are, exist beyond the boundaries of our understanding. They can change their form, evade capture, and strike fear into the hearts of even the most hardened warriors. What are these entities? Are they the remnants of ancient legends, creatures from another dimension, or something even darker? The truth is, we may never know. But one thing is certain. For those who have seen them, the world will never be the same. If you enjoyed these chilling stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We have more spine-tingling tales of the unknown coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. And remember, some things are better left in the dark.